Hi everyone, I'd like to give a very warm welcome today to Bobby Enright from the owner of Peak Performance. Bobby, how are you doing, buddy?
Rob, how are you? You good?
Very good, dude, very good. Bobby, I suppose for people that might be listening that wouldn't know you, could you just maybe give people a little bit about what you do, maybe a little bit about the gym?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem. Just kind of give you a quick background on myself. I started in the industry in early days, usual kid growing up playing Gaelic football, transitioned from an injury to martial arts, started doing Taekwondo, have done that for over 25 years. Basically got a passion for training from that because was able to compete for Ireland and do all that kind of stuff internationally, which was really, really nice. And me as a person, then my passion for the sport and the art, and also the passion for just training came out. And what kind of pushed me towards my career wasn't in the fitness industry. My career actually was in sales. I was in car sales for years and years and years, about 12 years. And the reason I pushed towards kind of actual coaching and starting a health and fitness career was because every client that I spoke to selling a car to always came around to something in fitness. Always came around to, I could have an injury, I could have something, or I might just have a screensaver on my computer. And people always mentioned about, okay, what do you do and what sport? So that kind of put me down the road of looking at a career in the health industry. I started in 2012 as I qualified in 2011 as a coach. I qualified in the European Institute of Fitness in the UK. Came back from that course and literally started my own personal training business, I would say. Started out on my own, no clients, start from scratch. Spent 5 years. When I passed my course, I had basically a goal that you had to set. You had to do a business presentation at the end. So you had to set out your business plan for the next 5 years. What is it? Guy said to me, you need to tell me where you're going to be in 5 years. I said, I'll own my own facility in 5 years. He said, okay, perfect. What's going to be the name of it? Off the top of my head, I thought the mountains in Killarney, and I said Peak Performance. And at the time, it was Peak Performance Personal Training. So I said, that's my name. And he said, right, cool. 5 years' time, I'm going to contact you, or I'm going to keep in contact with you in 5 years' time. 5 years later, after doing all the years of coaching on the floor, I opened up Peak Performance Academy, which was my own facility. The reason I called it Academy, because it's a coaching facility where we had a martial arts center and a fully functioning gym for people to come in and train. And obviously we had a facility in there, so we coaches. So that brought me to today, and that's from 2011 up to 2016. I opened Peak Performance in August 2016, and it has been gone from success to success due to a number of factors, and especially the people around me in the team, and also the members that walked through the door. So that's what made it a success, and that kind of got me to here where I am now, and talking to you.
Cool, Bob. Yeah, interesting story. But Bobby, you were working towards the Olympics at one time, weren't you? For the Taekwondo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to compete for Ireland for 10 years, and it's something that I had a massive passion for training, and I always loved to train, and I just wanted to take it to the next level. So I had the opportunity that I could trial out for the Irish team, got on the Irish team, and started competing internationally. I was 10 years competing on the national team, 10 years a national champion in Ireland, and then competed abroad in numerous championships. I tried. I suppose my the day I could define my career as a fighter would have been probably 2012 in Russia. It was January of 2012. The Olympics was in the summertime. I had given up work. I'd given up everything. I had full-time training, and I went for the Olympic Games and went for the qualification in Kazan in Russia, and got through to the qualifying rounds and lost the final match to Spain 5-4, which was a very close match. And that guy went on to win a silver in the Olympics, which was nice from my perspective because I took it really bad at the time, because you put so much into something and you don't see anything beyond it. So my whole world was just consumed by this goal. I knew I needed to be like that, because that's the kind of person I am. If I'm very driven to do something, and especially with competing, because competing in the ring, and Rob, from your days of doing your Thai boxing, it is really psychological. You have to be all in. There can be no doubt in the day. And when I went in to compete, and I went to Kazan, I won my first few matches, and I was like, this is going well for me now. I'm getting a feeling I could get to these Olympics. And then suddenly to be drawn against the European number one and saying, of all the people to draw, he was probably the worst. And then to go in and have the belief and say, listen, I've done everything, I've ticked every box here, so there's no reason I don't deserve to step in this ring. And then to literally be 4-all with 20 seconds left, and his coaches are literally having a meltdown because this is a guy from Ireland, he should be no competition to us, we haven't seen this guy really, so what the hell are you doing? So that was my claim to fame. I was very, very lucky. So that kind of turned the corner for me in terms of, I suppose, just career. What do I want out of Taekwondo anymore? Can I go for Rio? I tried for about 2 more years to compete at that level, but the problem was I had a few injuries, niggly injuries, that I was just putting on the back burner like we always do, and they kind of came to the forefront. And I had to say, look, right, I'm at a stage now where I'm 34 years of age. I remember being in Korea years ago when I was 23, and they were telling me you were too old then, and I was like, Jesus, I'm 33 now, 34. So it's time maybe to hang up the door back a little bit maybe and see. I went into the coaching side. So I really pushed the coaching side in and actually ended up coaching on the national team. So that was my transition.
Yeah, it was fantastic transition, though. You were very lucky to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard call to make, isn't it? Like, when whether it's football or whether it's soccer, you come to that age that, you're still good, but
Yeah.
you kind of know, oh man, maybe there's younger guys coming up the ranks here, and maybe I just don't have that extra bit that you need to continue competing. It's a really tough call to make, like, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? Yeah.
Do you know what it is? It is like, your timing is slipping, and anybody
Yeah.
who understands competing,
Mm,
especially martial arts, timing is the virtue.
mm,
And I'm a big believer when I was coaching, when people used to coach me about distance and timing. And I just knew my stepping and timing was a little bit off. And do you know what? The coach that day in 2012 said to me in the exact words when I came out of the ring, he said, "This moment does not define you."
mm.
And I'll take that to my grave, because I thought it was a very powerful thing to say to me when my whole world had collapsed. I didn't get my dream. People were watching at home. They seen that this wasn't going to happen, and it was a really powerful saying. And you know what? I think that made my decision too, because 2 years later, when my knee was an issue, I was saying I could compete on, but then could I step back from international? But when I thought of what he said to me, that when I came out of the ring, this moment doesn't define you. I said, you know what's going to define me? Nothing will define me yet, because I still have such an amount of work to give within the Irish setup. Young players coming through, start to coach them, give them the knowledge, give them see the mistakes I would have made, making sure they're not making them. So maybe I have a defining moment coming up further down the road in the coaching. So yeah, it's a tough
Yeah.
decision. We all have to do it sometime, but we just have to take it on the chin and move
Yeah,
forward.
yeah, move on, move on. Right? It's all part of life too, isn't it? These kind of things not working out, and, like, actually taking the positive from them, and kind of, because sometimes we can just focus on the negative aspect of that. But it was a wonderful achievement to get that
Yeah,
far, and to be
yeah.
able to look at that differently is really, really important. I suppose, look, we're obviously, everyone. I think at some level we're sick of talking about COVID, but uh,
Yeah.
for yourself, for other gyms, for businesses, very, very challenging. I mean, we do a bit of training together, myself and yourself,
Hmm.
and I've been now the gym, and it's so hard having to close again there the last time. And I think we were all kind of facing into 2021, and thinking things were going to change. Obviously, that didn't work out the way people were thinking. How has it really been for you? I know you're a positive guy, you do your best to be there, but, like, I mean,
Mm.
through all of these kind of closes and stuff, we can't be positive all the time. And I mean, how would you lift yourself back up, and how was that for you, maybe?
I suppose, Rob, to be dead honest, it brought on a lot of anxiety over the last few months, and,
Mm,
and it's definitely last year. I'd be a very positive person, and I always lived by the saying, "He who dares wins." So I try stuff, and I wouldn't look at so much the risk aspect of something. I'd say, let's look at the positive of what, if I put all my effort into something, then I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm going to get a result out of this. So when you get something taken away from you, especially your business being closed, and the one thing I said every day, I used to walk in and people walking up the stairs and standing in the gym, and you're looking around, you see all these people training, you're like, this is the dream I had years ago, that I would own a facility that actually people would pay to come to. And then to have it shut was really difficult, especially the first time, because it was so new
mm,
and it was such a shock to the system. We didn't know what our routines were. We didn't know how to handle this. We didn't even know what COVID really was. So I suppose for me, the way it affected me was, it made me very productive in the first lockdown, because I knew, okay, I need to I need to work on certain areas of the business now that I had let go a little bit. So I was able to do stuff, and I worked on loads of stuff within the business and set up structures and systems and all that stuff. Then reopened and then closed again. That was a real kick in the teeth, the second one, because I felt that we were starting to get great momentum. The gym was flying. People were really loving the facility. We had new members coming in. But then I think as it went through the second lockdown and third, I felt from a personal level a little bit more stress, definitely, a little bit more anxiety. I see disruptions in my own sleep, overthinking a lot of situations, and just trying, I'm working with people all the time as well online and trying to put this positive standpoint on everything. But like you said, we cannot always be positive. We're not always going to be, oh, look, let's look to the light. Let's see what's next. Let's not look at the negatives. Let's look at the positives. And I preach that, but I do realize that we are dealing with different emotions at this time, and everybody's going to be dealing with, I think, with a small bit of anxiety. We don't, it's the world of unknown. We don't know. We hear about vaccines and we're not sure they're going to work. We hear about COVID, the numbers going up, the numbers coming down. The very minute they come down, we go back, we open, but then we possibly could close again. So it on a personal level, it has affected me more on, I think, on an anxiety side, but I'm able to deal with it, and I kind of put my mind to stuff each day. I'm very, very, the gym industry is very close knit. Everybody kind of knows each other. And I mean, it really has, and I think it's really sad for one, since we've kind of group chats on WhatsApp with different gyms all around the country. And there's a couple of people there that unfortunately will never open their doors again. And I feel for them people, and I feel that's really, because we had a couple of lovely chats with a couple of gyms up the country that are really trying to be positive, and even gyms locally. And they're trying to put a positive standpoint in it, but one more lockdown is just going to shut that person down. So I suppose it's very difficult, Rob, to deal with, to be honest. But again, I suppose let's throw that word out there of positivity. We have to look to something. So we have to say, okay, what can we control? We can control every single action, everything we do. So we can only control our own arena at the moment. So it started, I had to work on the business, I had to work on systems, I had to do this. And other people as well, like other gym owners, they've had to transition. And I've even spoken to one or two gyms where they were struggling to transition online. And okay, this is maybe how I did it. Try this, try that, try that. Look, the one thing will say, Rob, about this whole lockdown thing, it has brought people together. I think I've never spoken to as many people in my life that I haven't, because I work all the time, like all of us. Life just goes like this. And when we're working, we're complaining about we've no time off. When we've COVID, we're complaining because we have too much time off. So do you know what it has given us? It's kind of given us a great sense of just people.
Unity,
the small thing in life. Unity. And you know what? Meeting people. Like going to a coffee shop. Yes, we have to wear a mask and stand out 2 meters apart. But you know what? You're saying hello to so many people. I said this to my wife with the very first lockdown. I've never saluted as many people in my life walking than when we were in lockdown that time. And the one thing I noticed was, yes, it was easier, the weather was better, but you were present in what you were doing. If you went for a walk, you heard the birds singing, you heard the animals in the fields, your smells were more powerful. It was just so much more, you were so much more in tune with yourself and your surroundings and being present.
Becoming really more grateful for the simpler things, isn't it? Like getting out for a walk and, really, and like, I think, obviously it depends on where you're living. I think if you're living in the middle of a city, I think it's a lot more challenging. I think, so many people be very envious of us here in Killarney. Like, we've so many beautiful walks, and, for most people, even within, your 5K limit, there's fabulous walks, and, we've so much nature around us that I think you're right, though. We're so much more in tuned to that and grateful for it, like, and I do think the first lockdown, obviously not for an owner of a business closing, because I closed my own business but I think for people training, it was a bit of a novelty, and it was the middle of it was summertime, and people did get into kind of training at home, and yourself and other gym owners in town, fantastic, like at putting up online workouts and really, really helping people. But I think this one was, from my experience, the majority of the people that I think it really had a very, very bad impact on a lot of people, like, and I think maybe the winter has something to do with that as well, and the weather, and, it's darker a little bit earlier. I suppose for people that might be struggling a little bit more now, with training or motivation for training. Like, is there tips that you could kind of possibly give people for,
Mhm.
home training workouts, maybe some advice around that and how they can kind of get themselves going, and maybe should what they should be doing around that, I suppose, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question, Rob, that comes in an awful lot on a daily and on a weekly basis in terms of
Mm,
the online coaching we do. The clients are always looking and saying, okay, and I do see that they're struggling more this time than ever.
mm,
I think Christmas was a big thing for people because we opened for Christmas, everybody kind of got together. Then we got a real fright when the numbers went up and people were like pulled back into this cocoon that they were in straight
mm.
away. And I think the weather didn't help the situation. It's very doom and gloom. The skies are dark, they're down on top of us a little bit. So the one thing I would say is, and I said I wrote about this last week, and I spoke about it about motivation. Yes, we need motivation, but sometimes we look too much for it.
Mm.
So I would always kind of say to people, okay, just look at your day. Okay, first thing you need to have is structure, because structure is gone now. We do not have, most people don't work now. They're staying in bed later. They're going to bed later. They're watching loads of Netflix. The days are different, right? Even with the kids, if you have kids at home, the days are different. So you need to set, I would
They're
say,
driving you
get your
mad, Bob.
journal out. Yeah, driving
They're
mad.
driving mad.
My kids are two dogs anyway, so
Yeah, I'm telling you, but I think homeschooling, I were talking about this the other day, but homeschooling for so many parents, especially if the parent is actually trying to work from home as well. I
Mhm.
remember talking to a buddy of mine there. I won't say who he is now, but he the first lockdown, he was telling me, we're closing in work and I'm moving home and to work from home, and he was delighted. He was so happy about
Yeah.
it. And I get a phone call from him there a while back. He said, "Oh man, I'm demented here. I can't handle this at all."
Yeah.
It's like, the kids are at home and I can't get any work done. Like, so I think it's very challenging.
It,
Sorry, go on. Yeah.
it is very challenging, and you know what? Yes, the kids have to be homeschooled. The kids have to be done. We
Mm,
have to prioritize. Number one, we have to get structure. Right. The first tip I would give anybody is get structure. Get structure in your day that you know. Okay, this is what I'm doing with, say, with kids. This is their homeschooling. This is their this. This their this. Then you look at your day and you say, okay, what about myself? Where's my self-care coming in? This is so important because we give ourselves to
mm,
everybody all the time. We need to make sure we look after, like I said, if you want to function at your very, very best, you need to look after yourself, both mentally, physically, and emotionally. So let's look at it in terms of structuring your day. This is the first thing I would say to anybody: get a diary, structure day. When are you training yourself or doing something for yourself?
mm.
Schedule that in a little bit. Yes, life is hard at the moment. We mightn't have a dead schedule, but at least today I'm doing X at some time of the day. I might say the afternoon, I might have a training session, I might go for a walk. Okay. The next thing I would say to people as well is, a lot of people are struggling with um, boredom, and I think living in their own head an awful lot. And I think that it's leading a lot of people to binge eating, picking foods, and
Mm.
nutrition is a big part of mental health and physical health and everything. Because
Yeah,
if you're physically eating better food, you're emotionally, you feel
feel better.
better.
Yeah.
You physically, you're probably looking better. So it's really important that people start to look at that and say to themselves, okay, if you're struggling with your nutrition, or you're struggling to try to lose weight and you're maybe binge eating a little bit, just pick one thing you can change a week. Just one single thing you can do. It's either you come along and you say, "Do you know what? I'm going to eat more vegetables within my diet at the moment. I'm going to add more fiber. I'm going to add a bit of protein to each meal, or I'm going to literally start to up my intake of water." Or when it comes to exercise, don't start a million miles an hour. Start with something that's sustainable. You can structure it into your day, and it's not detrimental to your day. And then start small and pick a little chunk off and really build on that. So if it's a 10-minute workout, in 3 to 4 weeks, that could be leading to 30 minutes and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think at the start, it's a pure January New Year's resolution mentality where we all want to go all in. Now, the one thing I'd say that this whole pandemic has kind of taught us is to think, stop and think and say, right, what can I sustain? I might have more time on my hands, but you have to appreciate people have kids and wives and things to do at home.
Mm.
So what can I sustain, and what can I actually be accountable to? And I can take a small chunk and say, right, let's do a 10-minute workout today. Let's add a small bit more protein to my diet, and let's go for a walk every day if we can. And
Yeah.
small little thing, and say, right, let's build on that then. And I think that's the biggest thing for people is just, number one, look after themselves. because self-care is so important. If you do not look after yourself, you cannot look after others. You need to be functioning well. So really look after your physical health through some sort of physical activity. It could be simply walking. And then your emotional health, looking after yourself, maybe spending time in the evening on your own, where you have a bit of time yourself, where you might journal or you might meditate, you might do some yoga, something that's going to be really kind of self-meditating and kind of within your own
Yeah,
being, of not having loads of people around you. And
relax.
then, yeah, totally, like,
Yeah.
because I mean, we are in a place where if anxiety is up, we need to look at ways to counteract that and help that situation. And that could be simply, I said this to a client today actually, was sleep was a little bit off. And I said to her, you know what you do in the evening? You're reading in the evening, which is really good. You're getting away from your Netflix and your computers and all that blue light exposure. um, Go for a warm bath, get some Epsom salts, because this person trains a little bit at home, trying to maintain a certain body composition,
Mm.
and may be struggling a little bit with it. So something to wind down the body at night can help their sleep. So they could implement a simple thing by having a bath 2 nights a week,
Mm.
and that little bit of self-care can be so empowering for people. And I think just the biggest thing for people at the moment is just take a small chunk, right? Say, I can do that. That just sounds too easy to me. But if I start this and make it a little bit of a habit, I can stack habits on top of habits. So once we nail a habit down, I drink 2 liters of water a day. Excellent. You've that nailed down.
You build
That's
on
a
it.
habit stacked. Build on it, build on it,
Mm.
build on it, build on it. And that would be the biggest tip I could give anybody at the moment. And don't always look for motivation, because you know what? At the end of the day, you are motivated. You wouldn't get out of bed in the morning if you weren't. So just don't be clinging on to you. I need
Mm.
somebody to motivate me. You don't. You just need a direction in what you're doing.
Yeah, and small changes will
Yeah.
bring on motivation anyway, when you start feeling better and stuff like that. Really good tips. I think as well, sometimes people, we kind of make it too big of a thing and, put too much pressure on ourselves and say, I
Hmm.
have to do an hour tomorrow. And no, you don't. If you do 10 minutes, great. It's better than nothing, like, but definitely structure and planning, and even down to like, what time are you training, like, because
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
knowing, and where's it maybe less adversive to me, like, is that first thing in the morning, or is that a non-runner, or is it kind of in the evening time fits better for me, like that, where am I more likely to kind of follow through, and do it. I think gyms, my uncle owned a gym. I'd actually think my uncle owned one of the first gyms in Killarney. Actually,
Yeah. He did. He
he
did.
did, and I think
Yeah.
he sold that then before he went to Australia. But he he'd always talk about being a gym owner. You'd often be like someone's counselor and therapist, and like,
Hmm.
I see there's a couple of jobs like that. I think you've got the hairdresser,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
beautician, and you
Yeah.
got the gym owner. And I think you get, it's such a personal relationship, and for a lot of people as well, it's quite vulnerable maybe the first time coming
Yeah.
into a gym. And I've so much respect for so many of the gym owners in town, and yourself included, and how you interact with clients and how you support them. How do you find that? Do you know, because you'd often get someone ringing you, and they're struggling,
Yeah.
and it's not really just about the training, it's more about life problems. And is that your kind of experience, maybe, of being a gym owner?
Yeah. 100%, Rob. To be honest, I've said this for years, and it's gas you brought up this point, because it's something that I've even said to young coaches coming into the business and into this world of coaching. If you want to be a coach, a proper coach, what we term as a coach, somebody that's going to be there for a person, yes, we have to train them. That's 10% of getting results. Getting somebody to lift weights, getting somebody to run further, getting somebody to run faster, that's 10%. It's meeting that person on an emotional level. So when we look at the coaching model, it's funny because you hear everything. They're hearing about their kids, or you're hearing about, geez, that job, and that person at work, and you're literally there as a mediator, and kind of, oh yeah, yeah, no problem. And I said this for years. The one skill that I got from selling was listening. That was one somebody said to me years ago. Just shut up and listen. And it's not. I don't want to be rude on this now, but like, it's about when a client comes in to me, or a customer back in the day when I was selling a car, I would look at the customer and I would say, okay, this is a female or a male, and I look at them and say, kids, no, there's no sign of kids. Ring, is there married now? So I'd be all these things go on the head, right, watching. And then I look at the car they were driving, and I look at the mannerism of them. Handshake was a huge thing with me. A wet fish, you know, and was it a strong handshake? So, you know, they were
I
firm and they were ready to go.
we'll
Sorry?
have to
Yeah.
cut this bit. I'm only joking.
No, I know, but you know, it was like I was just analyzing the person in front of me. But the
Yeah.
one thing always did was I listened. So they might say something. I'd listen to triggers and little things of the kids, and you know. So the person comes in, they're just buying a car, but it's a story. You're telling them a
Yeah.
story. That's why you need to get an emotional bond with them. You need to get a bond with them. So as a coach, I've seen that for years, because I always say this, Rob, and I've said any of my coaches that would have worked for me or currently are working for me, they would always say, always know the background story of the person you're dealing with, because we get clients coming in on a daily basis that want to lose weight. Okay, they're in a very vulnerable position because they're saying to you, listen, I'm not happy with my body, so can you help me? Now, if you want to just be a personal trainer and say, right, do 10 reps of this and eat chicken and broccoli for the rest of it, that's not a coach. So that's why the job has taken such a higher ground in terms of what we're doing,
Mm.
because they're coming to us vulnerable and we're talking to them and we're listening to them and we're saying, okay, and you have to empathize with somebody, because just because you're in the gym 5 days a week and you got six packs, you have to relate to what's in front of you. So when people come in, definitely the job has moved an awful lot towards the more coaching aspect, and I mean beyond the sets and reps and the food. It's getting the person to understand, okay, that they can achieve what they're trying to do. This is a blueprint of how to do it. Okay, but that's fine for me to tell you, but can we get that person to really believe it intrinsically? That's the key thing to coaching. And I think that's why your uncle would have said he was probably talking about 50 things in the gym bar training to a person. We're all the same. I mean, I'll have a conversation with every single client that comes in and I will know something about them. Do you know, if I'm looking at you on the gym floor, I know that Rob has just got a new dog. So I might ask you about the dog. And it's, you know, it's a small thing where you could say, oh yeah, the dog is great. And I always say that is, it's nice to be nice, and it's
Mm.
nice to listen, and it's nice to ask somebody, do you know, how was your day, and just see how they are and get them to talk to you. And that's why if any young coaches were watching this, that's the biggest attribute I would say to be a good coach long term.
Yeah.
But yeah, the job is huge. I mean, Jesus, we are like city councillors at
Yeah. Yeah.
times,
Yeah. Yeah.
but once we don't step our boundaries and we just know, okay, we've got lanes we work with, we've got lanes where we've got physiotherapists here, we're here. Yeah, we've got an injury, we've got an issue. Okay, let's flick them over to physiotherapist. We've got somebody that might
Mm.
have that deeper level of maybe mental health issue, and then we step away and say, okay, we know this person, maybe guide them towards you. And I've done that for many, many times,
Mm.
and it has helped the person tenfold, and they've came back to the gym then and they've said, geez, I only came in to lose weight, and I didn't realize, you know, that this was an issue. And okay, and now I've went to the other side and I've got somebody to help me here, and I'm coming back to where I was, and they're in a way better place.
Yeah, and I think gyms are a place as well. People just have a really healthy sense of connection, you know.
Mm,
Where,
yeah,
sometimes it might be someone's only outlet, like, you know, only positive outlet. You know, and there's such a bond, and I mean that kind of sense of kind of getting to know people and that familiarity with other people, and you know, it's
yeah,
a really, really positive place for people, you know, where there's no alcohol and nothing else
yeah.
involved. Yeah, so really cool. Um, Bob, I suppose, look, maybe what is might be a silly question too, but is
No.
there a better type of training people could be doing at the moment from home? Like, is there, you know, would you be advising people, or, you know,
Um, yeah, very good question actually. I mean, everybody kind of is looking to what should we be doing.
hmm,
So, I mean, to be honest, the most important thing you need to do is we've got a couple of areas of training we need to look at. We need to look at aerobic fitness. Is aerobically, you're
hmm,
improving your cardiovascular system, heart health. Once we improve the cardiovascular system, respiratory system is going to be improved as well. We know that COVID attacks respiratory system. So yes, I would definitely say somebody add some aerobic training into your weekly routine. And that could be something going for a jog twice or three times a week. Maybe you're going for a high step count, or maybe you're going for a little bit of home workout stuff. And then I would also say to people, we need to look after our muscle mass, our lean tissue. So we need to do some form of resistance training, if that's just body weight, or it's if you have the luxury of having some weights. So try to incorporate that. That's the best of both worlds, trying to get some form of resistance through muscle mass, because we want to basically maintain our lean tissue, and most people want to decrease their fat mass. So we can kind of maintain our lean tissue with some form of resistance, and then we can help our aerobic system and our cardiovascular system by doing aerobic work, which will in turn allow us to burn some fat. So kind of having a mix of both. That will be what I would say would be the perfect training at the moment. Say 2 times a week resistance training. If you can, 3, but definitely 2. And then the rest of the time you're doing some form of aerobic activity to keep you happy, keep you healthy. And the other thing as well, it gets you outside. The most important thing, we do not get enough light exposure in this country. I'm always saying to people, I was even did a Instagram yesterday where I was absolutely frozen outside, but I was walking, but I was kind of saying, you know what, this is what we need. This makes us feel alive. Get outside, get some light exposure. So good for your body, so good for metabolism.
Yeah.
When we look at, okay, we want to burn some body fat, there's a lot of things associated with that. So, and one of them is vitamin D.
100%, yeah, just getting in your vitamin D.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something as well we're lacking in this country. Generally, people are quite low on it. Okay, dude, that's cool. I mean, really good information for people. I think people can take an awful lot from it. If I suppose people want to find you, or if they want to,
Yeah.
you know, you're putting up workouts, I think, and stuff like that, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think people can find you on Instagram, or you might just kind of let people know where they may be able to get some
Yeah.
workouts and kind of watch some of the stuff you're putting up and stuff like that.
So kind of at the moment, if anybody's looking for workouts and stuff, you'll find us on Instagram.
Mm.
You'll find it on peakperformance.academy on Instagram, and you'll find coach.bobbyenright is my own handle on Instagram. Basically, the structure of the week, guys, if you're looking for an ab workout, there's one there every Monday.
Brilliant.
People love to train abs. You'll get that on Monday. I always tell people, do that for the week, and I'll see you next Monday. So you get one every week. Then on a body weight workout, or even minimal weights or whatever, I'd put something out on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. And also you have online classes as well on a Tuesday and a Thursday morning at 9:30. If you can't make them, they're all recorded and they're sent to the clients. So you have loads of options there. And also we have the facility for online coaching as well, where we work with people one-to-one, and we'll work on their nutrition training and whatever aspect of their like what we spoke about here, all these questions. People that are just struggling for a bit of direction, having somebody in their corner that can say, listen, what have you got? What's your day like? What's your background story? Where's the goal? What do you want it to look like, or whatever? And then we'll structure and kind of plan for them. So it just makes it a little bit easier. And again, that's where the coaching comes in, because if you really listen to people and you can empathize with them and you can really see it from their perspective, you are looking at them on the other end of a computer at the moment, not face to face. So it's very different. So I think for some people that can afford a coach, it's a massive help. But not everybody needs to have a coach. You just need to have some direction. So just reach out. And I always say to people, reach out on social media platforms, because we're here to help people. So it's not a case of we want to charge you. So just reach out, say, listen, I'm just wondering,
questions.
like you said there, what's the best training I should be doing at the moment? My first thing to a person would ask me that, and say, what equipment have you got? Because I've only got a set of dumbbells. Perfect. Got the resistance training covered. We can cover the whole body with that. Do you like to run? No. Do you like to walk? Yeah. Okay, let's get a step count going. Simple. You know?
Just a couple of things. I mean, because a lot of people are doing a lot of the home workouts and stuff like that, and you know, some people are lucky enough to have some home equipment, but look, not everybody is, obviously, and it's crazy price at the moment for some of that stuff if you go online. But what are kind of ways of people adapting, like maybe some home stuff that they can use as weights, like, so you know, maybe for some bicep curls, or for, you know, if you were doing a goblet squat with kettlebell, like what could people kind of use that home stuff that they could kind of adapt some of these things? I know I'm putting you on the spot now, so I'm not too sure.
No. Look, if I look at this room at the moment, I've got like a water bottle which I could fill, and that's going to be a liter. So that's going to be some bit of resistance. So I could use that simply for my bicep curls if I wanted to. And if I look over here, there's a plant which weighs about 3 kilos. So you could look at general stuff like that. What I would say to people is just get something that you can hold anyway, and that has some form of weight behind it. Now, somebody could say, do you know what, I've got a bag of coal out the back. That's fantastic. You could actually throw that on your back and do some form of leg workout. So it's about thinking outside the box a little bit. And
Wear
what
a
I've
dirty
seen is like
t-shirt.
people where, yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
doing step ups on chairs, doing dips on couches, doing press ups on benches,
Yeah,
doing box jumps onto something. Like,
yeah,
it's just about looking at your surroundings and saying to yourself, when you walk out to your back lawn and back garden, and say, what could I actually do here? Like, you could do anything. I mean, and the biggest thing with training as well is we don't actually need equipment to get in very good shape.
no.
We just need to understand a couple of basic principles. And the simple thing I would say to you is, if you go against the wall and you do a wall squat, so you squat down, you put your back against the wall and you set a timer, last as long as you possibly can. You've driven a massive amount of blood into your quads. And then you come off that wall squat and you just do body weight squats for as many as you can. You try that for a couple of sets, and I can guarantee you that will give you a fantastic workout for the lower body. And that's simple. And there's no weight involved there. Press ups, the most underrated for guys chest development exercise you can do. Do you know, we all think cables and benches and all this stuff. I'm telling you, once you can utilize press up so much different ways, hit different muscle groups, put your feet up on something, put your feet on something, put your hands up higher, put your hands lower, put your hands wider, put your hands together, challenging differently. So I think it's just about thinking outside the box. And again, that's, we live in a world of the internet. So jump on, look at somebody doing calisthenic workouts. There's loads of workouts on our page as well, with bands and dumbbells and no weight, no equipment at all. So yeah, it's do you know what? It's great to see people that are intuitive, and they're inventing little exercises and inventing little ways of
Yeah,
doing pulleys. And I was talking to a guy the last day, he was building a pulley machine where he could literally try, he had some weights hanging off a thing and a pulley coming this way, trying to figure out how to get rows done and cables. And that's brilliant, because it
yeah.
really, do you know what? It starts to get this working.
Yeah, yeah. I must show you a picture. I'd say that, aren't you? A friend of mine at work has built a cable machine. It's it's amazing. Like,
Yeah, I see it.
yeah, it's incredible, incredible. And it is all about adapting, isn't it? Like, now, because I
Yeah.
suppose we've all had to adapt over the last year, and you're adapting as a business. People are trying to
Mhm.
adapt to training. And I know people are really missing their gyms, like, and they're missing that
Yeah.
interaction with yourselves and their coaches, and the relationships that you have. And I think that's really hard on people. And I think it's super what you're doing, and putting stuff up online and free stuff up online for people as well, I think is amazing. And I think people will really appreciate that. And I think for people as well, if they can keep connected with you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's a great support in itself. Like, it's so important for all of us. Like, that's we all have this inherent need to connect. And actually, it's a fundamental aspect of all of us being happy, actually. So, sorry, go on.
It's like equipment, Rob. So many people panicked when we closed this time. It came quite quickly. They might have been away for Christmas, or they mightn't have been in the gym around that Christmas
Mm,
period, and panicked. And the one thing I said to a lot of people that rang up and said, geez, what am I going to do? And like, I'm saying, listen, we're going putting classes online. We'll be putting workouts online. You know how to train yourself because you've been doing it. And do you know what? A lot of people came and said, listen, is there anything? And I'd say, listen, here's 2 kettlebells. Take them away, bring them back when we're back open. At least that is something that they can say, oh, thank God, I've
mm,
something I can cling on to here. And that's so powerful, because I passed a guy in the street yesterday, and he's first thing he turned around to me and he said, no, this guy I've only met, and he's been in the gym probably 3 months as a member. Really nice guy. He turned around and said, thanks a million for the kettlebell that you gave me. It saved me my life, because he loves to train.
mm,
And he's a
mm.
big guy, so he wanted to do some form of weight. So I said to
Waited,
him,
yeah.
if I waited, I said, listen, and I would say this to anybody, if you have to buy one piece of equipment today, buy a set of kettlebells.
Mm,
They're a game changer. And people be looking, because I do online coaching with a guy in Cork, and I was persuading him. I said, buy kettlebells. And he bought these adjustable dumbbells, and I was like, you should have bought kettlebells. You could use so much more with kettlebells. And he was like, no, I want these dumbbells in the chest. And I was like, no problem. And it's just such a utilized piece of equipment, an underutilized piece of equipment. You can do so much with them. I literally do all my classes online just with kettlebells. So
it's brilliant. Yeah, yeah.
um, if anybody's asking that question, get a set of kettlebells.
Yeah, super, super, super. Actually, just while you're there, have you on what you make of them adjustable uh dumbbells?
They're they're
They're
fine,
recklessly priced.
but
Like,
the
I mean, they're,
ones,
they're reckless, crazy.
yeah,
Go on, yeah.
they're they're expensive, right? The only thing I would say is there's a lot of them on the market at the moment that are coming out that are very, very cheaply made, and they're been charged extortionate prices for them. I know that the one that this client bought was from a reputable company. Now, they're all coming from the same place. We won't be fooled by that, but they're fine. But the only thing is, they're not a kind of a dumbbell you can drop at any stage or do
Yeah.
anything like that. So I would say, if you are going to buy them, definitely buy them from a company that you can return them if there's an issue. That's the one thing. I'm not a massive fan of them because I think the ones that are out now are just faddy types. The ones that were there years ago were really expensive, and they were proper. They were they were robust. You could kind of bang around a bit. But I think for anybody that wants a set of dumbbells, you can do everything with kettlebells exactly the same: chest presses, shoulder presses, and you can throw them around the place. So that's the only thing I'd say. But yeah, they're fine. But buy them from a reputable company because it'll pay dividends just in case they don't. I know one person actually, which is a funny story. Well, it isn't funny, but they were doing a chest press and a piece. One of the weights fell out and hit him in the
Oh,
face.
Jesus. Sorry.
So it was, the person was laughing now about it because it clipped him on the chin. But it was funny. They were literally, one of the weights just slipped straight out and bang.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah. Maybe stay away from them guys.
be careful, or wear a mask.
Wear some sort of headgear. Sounds
Yeah.
dangerous. Bobby, you're a gentleman, dude. Come here. Did you hear the bad news? No,
No. What's that news?
it's cancelled, man. Did you get the email? No.
Yes, I did. I
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did. I did. I
So
did.
yeah, we had signed up for Quest Bearer in May, but yeah, they sent an email out to say it was. I was talking to someone about this today. Actually, he was going doing an Ironman in Youghal in
Oh,
the
okay.
summer. Yeah, no, he's not too sure. No, he's an All Ireland swimmer. He has 4 medals for
Okay.
Ireland in swimming, but and he swam in the World Olympics and stuff. So he's a very good swimmer, but he's not too sure will it go ahead. But are you thinking you keep the training going, kind of to aim towards
Yeah.
that anyway? Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, look, we know, and you're probably going to be the same. At the end of the summer, we're going to push for that 90K ultra, so that's going to be
yeah.
something in the back of the head anyway. So, yeah, kind of keeping the training the same with the mindset and goal to do some sort of event. The bear would have been lovely because it was a 12 hour.
Fabulous.
It
Yeah,
would
it
have
looked
been
lovely.
challenging. But we know that, look, the Dingle Marathon has been cancelled as well. A load of stuff has been cancelled at the first half of the year. So I do think
Maybe
come
later in the
July,
year,
August,
there'll
September,
be a
yeah,
couple of events like yeah.
yeah. I mean, the Kerryway Ultra will go ahead in September. And look, if that was the one event we only had to compete in this year, we'd be delighted because it was such a fantastic event last year.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing for people as well, is maybe set themselves some sort of target they can train
Yeah.
towards something, whether, and it doesn't matter what that is, if it's a 5K or a 10K run or, whatever. There will definitely be big events then towards the end of the year for people as well if they were interested in doing them.
It's very powerful to have something that you can say, okay, I want to do this event. Okay. And it might be a little bit out of, we'll say, beyond your scope at the moment. But do you know what it does? It challenges you big time. So
Mm,
if you say, right, do you know what? I'm going to run a marathon in October, the Dublin Marathon in November, October. And you could say, and I could say to you, oh, Rob, how many miles have you done? Okay, I've only done 5Ks. Right. Bit of a challenge. Now you have to run 42 kilometers. But do you know what? It's out there now. It's like telling somebody, do you know what? On my wedding day, I'm going to be 10 stone. What are you now? 14. Okay, you're under pressure now. You're telling somebody. So at least we have a goal set. And then we can just get our vision board and say, right, Dublin Marathon October. Now we do the little legs off it. How do we get to 42 kilometers? So we start from going from our 5s to 6s to 7s. We taper our running. We start looking, and then you just start to get a little bit of a goal going, a bit of
mm,
incentive going, a bit of motivation, a bit of intrinsic drive going, and you're getting a bit of momentum going. The months and weeks are passing because you're training and you're up and you're training, you're getting, and then finally October comes, and what are you doing? You're standing on the start line and you're just going to do 42 kilometers. So it's nice to have something out there in the long term, but I definitely think when you put it out in the long term, pull yourself straight back to the present and say, what can I do now to get to there? That's
exactly. Yeah.
really important. And I always say this is when I'm seated here beside a chessboard, and I don't know how to play chess, but I
I'll
watch
teach you.
that program on. You teach, do you know how to play
I
chess?
do. Yeah, yeah. It's been a
All
good
good
few.
stuff.
Yeah, good for years since I
Did you
played it.
watch
Like
that?
I did. Or
Did you watch the next?
the Queen's Gambit, is it?
Fantastic,
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's very good.
So,
uh,
but you know, it's like something. You know, could I learn how to play? This could be a great challenge. Like I said, I have a chessboard
Yeah,
here and I want to learn how to play chess. How do I start? That's the goal that's out there, to actually
yeah,
play chess and physically sit down. So now I have to pull myself back to the present and say, well, I'm the clue about chess. So what could I do first? And that's the beauty about putting a goal out there, because I think it gets you thinking of the present, saying, right, now I have a direction, So it could be a great thing.
yeah, I think as well it gives you a sense of accountability towards something. I think that's the
Yeah,
beauty of maybe having these races and stuff like that. And I only got into the bit of running last year with yourself, but
mhm.
having signed up for something, I think that's the beauty of that. Maybe you've paid for it. You've said you've done it. Maybe you're training with people. Like, I know obviously that's a bit dodgy at the moment, but you
Yeah.
could be training with people and working towards something. And that accountability can really kind of keep you involved. And I think being involved and doing that with other people as well is really important. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like when we decided to do it, then the simple thing was we said, right, we have to now figure out how to train for it. So
Yeah,
right, let's start
you didn't
getting
give us
together.
very
Now
long.
back. No, I didn't give it very long, which was very nice. But we still we were at a time where there was no COVID, so we were like, we were allowed to
Yeah,
move
yeah,
around. So we
yeah.
said, right, okay, what do we do? Let's meet up. And we had some lovely weekends out
Great,
where
yeah,
we
fantastic. Yeah.
we ran together, we laughed together, we had a bit of crack, we kind of challenged ourselves, and then we went on that start line, came to the finish line, and we were all there for each other at the finish line. And you know what? It was a great challenge. And the other thing as well is we were accountable because we said we were going to do it.
Mhm.
People heard us saying that, and that just puts you put your focus on, because you say, right, I've told people I'm doing it now. At least now I have direction, I focus, and just go for it. And you know what? The journey is the enjoyable part. That's the key thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Enjoy the journey. It's not about the destination. Buddy, a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. I think people take an awful lot from that now, and really good advice around different ways of training and incorporating training into kind of home, and
Yeah,
how they might go about that and stuff like that. And look, touch base with yourselves, drop yourselves messages,
yeah,
whether you're members of other gyms, stay connected, I think, and that's really, really important.
yeah.
And I think all the guys are out there to kind of really support and help you. And it's such a part of our positive well-being as well, like training and doing a bit of exercise, just for serotonin and everything else that comes with it. So Bobby, thanks a million, buddy. We'll chat again another time. And
Brilliant.
go on, sorry.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, Rob. As I say,
Oh, no,
it's
sound.
something that it's just to have to be there for people, and to understand that you're not your own. There's plenty of people there.
Yeah.
The people you might think are not reachable, do you know what? Just reach out to them and say, I'd like to ask you a question. And that's what we're here for. So please, anybody listening, reach out. If you don't know something, guys, how are you going to find out? Ask. You're going to get the knowledge. And that's what I do as a coach. When I don't know something, I'll reach out to some of my peers, and you know what? They come back to me, and that helps me massively. So yeah, definitely there for everybody. Don't be afraid to reach out.
Yeah, and I actually just will finish up now, but I were talking to Trevor O'Donoghue recently, and it wasn't actually on the podcast, but
Hmm.
me and Trevor were just talking between each other. It was a nice conversation we were having, but we were saying, we're all in this together, like, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the most important thing, like, and supporting each other and wishing people well, and that's really what it's all about. Um,
And it's the first time ever in our lifetime we
yeah,
could say we are actually all in this together.
yeah, 100%.
You're in lockdown, I'm in lockdown, we've COVID is everywhere. So
Mhm.
I was talking to somebody, and I don't want to keep you too much longer,
No, it's all right.
somebody from New Zealand only 2 days ago, and they
I was,
just
yeah.
randomly text me out of the blue. I hadn't spoken to this person since we were over in New Zealand in 2008, and they just randomly threw me a message on Messenger and said, listen, how's the form? How are you keeping? How's things going? I follow you on Instagram. I said, geez, I haven't spoken to you since the Taekwondo days over there. And you know what? He said, it's really strange at the moment in New Zealand, because he said, we're looking at the rest of the world on TV, all in lockdown, and we're
Mm.
living normal lives. So it was great, and that's the beauty about, well, not the beauty, but it's just something that has brought everybody together. And I think it
Yeah, yeah.
has, because of the fact that somebody like that on the opposite side of the world took the time to actually message and say, how are you doing? How is COVID in Ireland, and how are you coping with it? And it was a really nice gesture. And I think, I was watching last night, and it was lovely to see as well, is that, that Jerusalem dance thing?
Yeah, yeah,
That,
yeah,
do
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I hadn't really seen it. I'd
Mm.
seen it on Instagram briefly. What a lovely thing.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
It's
Yeah.
a really cool thing to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But anyway, the story is we are all in it together. Everybody's in the same situation. So as much as it's a bad day for us today or you tomorrow, do you know what? We're all in it together, and it's
Yeah.
just a small thing of just saying when you pass somebody, just say hello. You don't have to. Obviously, we have to keep our distances, but you know what? Just give somebody a couple of minutes of your time a day. It can really help somebody.
100%. I think we got that in droves in Killarney. Especially, I remember my cousin Sarah. She lives in London, but she used to come over every summer when she was young,
Mm.
and she'd be walking downtown with us, and she just couldn't get over. Say hi, hi. Everyone saying hello to each other. Do you know
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah,
people are kind of
yeah,
like
yeah,
really know everyone just
yeah,
say hello.
yeah.
So I think we got that. Bobby, come here. Have a lovely evening, dude. Thanks a million for coming on and chatting to me, and some really good advice and really positive advice for people. And you know what? We will all get through this together, and times will get better. And even though there's difficult times, we have to try to look on the positive as well. And like I said, there is lots of
100%.
positives that have come from this as well.
There is,
Cheers.
and and happy Valentine's to you, Rob.
Oh yeah, happy Valentine's, dude. Yeah, yeah. I hope you get your wife something. You'll be.
I'm on it. I'm
Are
on
you
it.
on it? Are you?
I'm on
We'll all be in trouble.
Yeah.
Come here, dude. Have a good one. We'll chat to you later, okay?
Super. See you
Mind
soon.
mind yourself, dude.
Bye.
Take care. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.